Goal number one is to come up with a few stories that are shared from a place of discernment and not fear, right? Like I'm choosing what stories about myself that I want to share that align with me as an authentic human and align with my personal values and align in some of these cases with my brand. Hello, friend, and welcome. I'm Tami Enfield, brand strategist, marketing expert, and creator of the Candid Content Framework. Through conversations with creators just like you and sharing stories from brands and thought leaders, we'll harness the power of authenticity and give you the confidence to create content that empowers you and your audience. If you're ready to build a kinder, more empathetic world, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Candid Content Revolution. Hey friends, welcome to the conversation today with myself. Another solo episode coming at ya. I want to talk today about overcoming the fear of sharing personal stories. So this is something that I work with a lot of people on. When it comes time to step out from behind your brand, or if you don't have a brand, just step up or out online to help people overcome something, right? Share your story or to, build a community or just to share some authentic pieces of yourself with the connections you have online. There is a fear that comes along with that. There is a fear of judgment. There is a fear of, oh my gosh, what will people think of me now? And for women leaders specifically, I'm sure there are some men who feel this way too, but in my experience with women leaders, they think if they share a personal story that they won't be seen as professional or as much of a leader. And I think stepping into vulnerability as a leader is one of the most powerful things that we can do for our companies, for our communities, for the mental health of everyone who follows us, right? Like people want to see people. People want to connect with humans online. So what makes us human is our experiences, right? Like what we think of them, what we've learned from them, how we feel about things, lessons we've learned, right? As entrepreneurs on social media, we have a lot to say. As leaders on social media, we have a lot to say. As moms on social media, we have a lot to say. As authors, as readers, as athletes, as doctors, like whatever our experience is as a human needs to be shared online so that people can feel less alone. I've read statistics, and I'm sure everybody's seen that. Like, we are the loneliest we've ever been as a human species. And how can we be this lonely when we are this connected? It is because we are not seeing ourselves in what we're consuming. We are not seeing lived experiences that we have lived. We are seeing instead highlight reels and what people want us to see. We are seeing filtered versions of life on social media. We are seeing the toast at the beginning of an evening with all of our friends sharing pictures of our drinks. And we are not seeing maybe the fights that went on at home, or we're not seeing the struggles of friendship. We're not seeing the next day's like, frankly, after a night of drinking. But anyway, saying that we have to share stories of hangovers, but I'm sure we're not seeing all that there are, right? But overcoming the fear of sharing those stories is something that I try to walk clients through as we're putting together what I call a personal brand message map. And there are a few ways that we can get to stories that don't feel scary to share, right? Like goal number one is to come up with a few stories that are shared from a place of discernment and not fear, right? Like I'm choosing what stories about myself that I want to share that align with me as an authentic human and align with my personal values and align with, in some of these cases with my brand. One way we do this is a personal values exercise, right? Like let's really determine the values that you come from in order to be authentic, and this is one of the biggest challenges I've had to, I've come up against in my career, is how do you teach authenticity? Because it's so subjective. Most people say, yep, I'm being authentic. This is me. This is 100% me. I'm being authentic online. And only 52% of their followers actually believe them. That's because that maybe my values as an authentic human don't mirror yours. Like what I value isn't necessarily what you value. Therefore, you think I might be hiding something or just don't believe all of what I'm saying. And it's because it's so subjective. So how can we share authentic stories and be as authentic as we can online is by tying stories and experiences to our personal values. Obviously, a personal value of mine is authenticity, right? Like I try to be as authentic as I can. And I have gotten quite a few comments out and about where people will say, you are exactly how you are in person as you are online. Like you are the same person. When I've met you online, I've experienced the same Tami as I do at a networking event or in person. And that's been my goal. I don't want to show up as someone else. I don't want to try to be someone else. Hiding parts of yourself is truly exhausting. But the personal values, and I have done a lot of personal values work. I've done it from a young age. When I became, a manager, I had to do some personal values work just to make sure that I wasn't getting in the way of other people based on my own values and assumptions. But when I asked around, when I polled my friends, I was a little shocked to find out that not everybody does personal values work. Like what? Not everybody is as nerdy into self-development as me. Who knew? There are a lot of personal brands that I work with that don't feel comfortable sharing too many pictures of their family life or of their kids. And that's okay. You don't have to. You can maybe share stories, but you don't have to share pictures or videos of them. I'm of the belief that I won't share something unless I have permission to. So Addison, my daughter, and I talk a lot about what maybe I have permission to share and what I don't. But coming through and overcoming that fear of sharing personal stories, the one way is making sure, just understand what your values are and then tying those values to a story. So how I walk people through that is with authenticity. For instance, I'll just try to use myself as an example. With authenticity, when was a pivot point for me? What was a pivot story to where I truly understood this to be a value of mine? Is there a story of me being really authentic that changed the way I think about something or that changed the way I did work? Did it change the way I approach social media? 100%. I've got pivot stories all over in terms of like things I've shared online that helped me understand the power of being authentic and showing up as myself. I think this podcast is a really great example of that. When I listened to the first few episodes, I was proud and confident in the first time probably in all of 2024, to be honest. 2024 was a little bit of a rough one for me in business. I am steering the ship in a different direction, and I have put together some of the packages and work and services that I enjoy doing and let go of some of the things I don't. And steering that ship has been a little tough. And I was, who the heck am I to think I can do any of this? I don't know what I'm doing. I can't believe people pay me for this. But I listened to and of course, those are my inner gremlins screaming at me. I have decades of experience in branding. Of course, I know what I'm doing. It just is, those moments of imposter syndrome or those moments of, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? But listening to the podcast back, I was like, hey, Ben's my producer. Hi, Ben. I am actually really proud of myself. Like, you made me sound so smart. And, his answer back is, well, you made you sound smart, but I edited it into a way that maybe wasn't as rambling, right? Like I tend to ramble. I'm sure this one he'll have to do some work with too, but that's a good pivot story for me, right? Like I have talked about starting a podcast for I don't know how long. And maybe the book comes this year too. I've been talked about writing a freaking book when my dad was alive, him and I talked about a book. My dad, passed 8 years ago now, but well before I had kids, I talked about writing a book. Maybe that comes next, but showing up in people's ears with thoughts of my own and confidence to share is a big one for me. I'm excited about 2025. Okay, back to how to come up with some personal stories or how to get over the fear of sharing them. So personal values was number one and pivot stories was number two. So if you can think back to a memorable moment in your career or life, this all doesn't have to revolve around work. I just seem to think of a lens through marketing, or think of everything through a lens of marketing. But what are some pivot moments? For a lot of women, it's motherhood, right? Like those freaking babies make us see ourselves in a way we never knew possible. I'm still humbled daily with my two lovelies. Marriage, for those who choose to get married, for those who choose to get married, that can be a big one, right? Like some stories on how do you take two lives and smush them into one? For me, I have some stories about what it's like growing up in a small town, and people know me from different parts of life. Some of them high school, which I don't think I was the best human in high school. But some people still hold me there. Some people still hold me in my first couple sales jobs. Some people, I drove in another lifetime, I drove a school bus, and some people still see me as a bus driver. Bless bus drivers. Let me tell you, that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, was drive a school bus. It did help me realize that, I love my kids and I love my friends' kids and family's kids, but I don't love everyone's kids. I don't love all children. But some people still see me there. Some people, I married my high school sweetheart. Hi, Jason. A lot of people go, oh, but we are, different people than we were when when we were 21 and 22 getting married, or even dating at 17. Like Addison laughed the other day because Jason has a tattoo on his arm, and it's Tupac's tattoo, right? Because he was big into rap music, and we used to drive around in a little Dodge Neon listening to, Bone, Thugs and Harmony, Tupac, all the things. And if you get into his pickup truck right now, you're going to hear country. Like, we are different people than we were when we were that age. And growing up together side by side, coming into our, personal values and living into what we want out of life together, it's not been easy, but we've stuck it out. But I just think that looking back on your life and looking at some of those pivot stories are stories that, you could share, that, other people are going through, especially, in the community that you're building. I have a friend and client who's building a community around, working moms and how to live life confidently and happy and calm as a working mom. She has plenty of stories, as being a working mom herself, and she's bringing people together to talk about those moments and how we can feel better as a working mom. So she's bringing people together in community around that. I am hoping to build a community around showing up authentically, and, I'm a huge mental health advocate. So what does showing up authentically do to our mental health? And pivot stories around that, because authenticity and mental health advocacy are some of the values that I live into. And stories around that, like I just said, was my podcast. So talking about my podcast, helping me be and show up more authentic, and how it makes me feel better about myself, is a really great example of how I can share personal stories online in a way that does not make me seem unprofessional and actually serves, my purpose as a human and as an entrepreneur. one of the newer tools that I came to, so if you've done your personal values exercise, you've looked through and you still, you can't find any pivot stories that you want to share. A lot of these pivot stories for my clients come through during the discovery session. I just ask a bunch of questions and learn about them, and we pull out pivot stories. But if you're home going, Tami, I still don't know what I could share online, I found a tool, and it stems from Simon Sinek's Start With Why. And I'm a geek for all of the personality tests and everything. I'm an Enneagram 6, Myers-Briggs, all those DISC, all those things. I'm a huge human design, like that's something, astrology, like I really love getting to know myself more, as geeky as that sounds. I am a nerd for it, but I did find a tool called YOS, and it asks you a few questions, and it comes up with some things about yourself, and it's like a mirror. Like you can read through this PDF, and it tells you, like, this is what you care about. Here's what drives you. Here's some words that describe you. Here's some careers that you might think about. Like, it's been really helpful for me and my clients to give words that they maybe haven't been able to come up with themselves, but words that mirror what they're feeling about themselves and YOS. If you're interested in that, shoot me a DM or a message. What I'm also interested in doing in 2025 in terms of, mental health advocacy and helping people stand up more authentically is I'd really love to have conversations with people who have shared something personal online and it brought back to them something unexpected. Maybe it was confidence, maybe it was some career opportunities, maybe it's a community that they didn't expect, maybe it's, I want to have conversations with people who have shared something authentic online, whether that be through work or personal life, for this podcast. So if that's you or someone please reach out. I'd love to interview you on the podcast. I think they make for really great stories, and we can build a community together around people who feel seen, heard, and held. But that's it for today. That's it for the conversation with myself. Looking forward to some more interviews. Looking forward to sharing my thoughts on authenticity and candid content in 2025. And I hope you are having a beautiful day. Till next time. Cheers. Thanks, friend, for listening. My thanks to Brand Out Loud Design for their audio branding and sound design. If you enjoyed the show and want to share it with others, why not leave us a 5-star review? And remember to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Tami Enfield. And until next time, authentically yours. I'm Tami, and this is the Candid Content Revolution.